So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Alex Socrates, and I'm here today to tell you about our MSc program, Biomedical Sciences, which is hosted in the Division of Biosciences here at UCL. So welcome, and I'd like to introduce you to the staff who are running this program. So I'm Dr. Alex Socrates. I'm a teaching lecturer in the research department of cell and developmental biology. I'm supported by my deputy program lead, who is Professor Frances Edwards. She's a professor of neurodegeneration in the research department of neuroscience, physiology, and pharmacology. So we're all based within the UCL Division of Biosciences, one of the leading sort of bioscience research uh, departments in in the world. And our program is also supported by Fatima Bibi, who's our program administrator. So if you were to join this program, this is the team that would be sort of looking after your studies at UCL. So what is biomedical sciences? Well, this is really a very interdisciplinary degree that covers a wide range of topics linked to human health and disease. And that includes things like animal development, cell biology, neuroscience, and pharmacology. And the range of choice that we offer on this program is really one of the features that students say that they enjoy most about this program. So really the aims of this program are to give you an advanced understanding of the structure and function of biomedical systems, and to give you an understanding of the mechanisms underlying normal function and dysfunction at the molecular, cellular, and systems levels. And our program has a large emphasis on the research project as well. So you'll gain research method skills and experience in an original dissertation project that is related to the overarching theme of biomedical sciences. And so this really can help prepare students for a career in biomedical industry, other professional settings such as pharmaceutical companies or consultancies, and also if you choose to do a PhD after the master's, we do have a proportion of students who go on to PhD studies. And I'd also like to emphasize that this is an academic program that's focused really on academic biomedical sciences and research. Um, it is not necessarily a clinical biomedical sciences program, so it won't necessarily give you the clinical training if you're looking to be a hospital biomedical sciences uh, biomedical scientist. And this is the structure of our program. So it really offers a 50-50 split between teaching and research. So our year is split up into three different terms at UCL. Plus, if you're a master's student, you will also be working and studying throughout the summer as well. Um, so I will take you through the different components of the research project and the teaching just to kind of separate these out a bit. But essentially, in the first two terms, you'll be doing taught modules, taking different courses from a variety of different modules that we have available. Then you'll have some exams. Then in the summer, you'll be dedicating your time to research project work, writing your dissertation. But you will also have started the research project a bit earlier in the year from sort of January. So to focus on the taught portion of the program, um, let's go back. So the students who join the program will be taking 90 credits of taught modules. That's equivalent to around 900 study hours. Um, the majority of those will be taken in the first term. That starts in October and runs until the Christmas New Year's break. During term one, students usually take about 60 credits of their taught modules, so the majority of their taught modules. And that can be a combination of 15 and 30 credit modules. Usually, the majority of our modules are 15 credits. So you'd be maybe taking 4 modules in the first term. And then in the second term, you would be taking the remainder of your modules, which would usually be 30 credits or 2 modules. They'd have a sort of lighter load of studying in the second term, and that's because you'll have more time dedicated to the research project, as I'll mention next. And then you'll have your module exams, usually in term 3, so from April onwards. However, you may also have courses that have modules throughout the year, so it might be sort of a bit balanced. These modules that you'll take will all be from an optional list. There'll be roughly 35 modules that you can choose from. And students who are joining the program, we send them a list of modules during the summer so they can start thinking about which modules they would like to choose. Not all modules can be taken together because, of course, some will be timetabled at the same time. So there's a bit of consideration that needs to go into choosing these modules. So like I said, we have a large selection of optional modules. This is just a word cloud that was generated by feeding in the list of optional modules. You can see the kind of key themes that come out of this. We have mechanisms of human disease, neuroscience, developmental biology, cell biology, mitochondrial biology, metabolism. So there's a lot of different themes here, but we also have some more sort of skills focused modules such as statistics, science journalism that are offered from other departments that our students are allowed to take. This is maybe a bit more of a breakdown of the optional modules by theme. So they tend to cover a range of topics from developmental biology, cell biology, genetics, aging, disease mechanisms, pharmacology, neuroscience, statistics, and then science policy, publishing, and journalism. So there's the opportunity to blend some of these more academic sort of research areas with some more sort of wide-ranging skills and things like policy and also business for bioscience as well. So that's the talk portion that I just spoke about of the program. That's taking up sort of a large part of the academic year. But alongside that, you will have the research portion. That's also another 90 credits of study. So essentially, the amount of time that you spend on your thought modules is equivalent to the amount of time you'll spend in your research project. And you will start thinking about this research project from the moment you join the program or even in advance, because the first term is about ranging the research project, and I'll speak a little bit about how that is done. And that should be arranged so that you're ready to start in January in term 2, whilst you're carrying out the sort of remainder of your taught modules. Um, so during term 2, the project work that you do, for example, in a laboratory, that will be sort of part-time around um, based working around your studies and your other commitments. And then in the summer, when you don't have any more taught modules and you've finished your exams, you can spend you can dedicate your full time to this research project that you use to write your dissertation. So yeah, this is how the year looks if you're just focusing on the project. You arrange your project in term 1, you do part-time project work. As part of the assessment, you prepare a short research proposal, and that's just to basically clarify the aims and the plan of experiments that you're going to do. And then in the summer, you do full-time project work and dissertation writing. You submit your dissertation in the middle or late August, and then you do an oral presentation in early September, and that completes your studies, along with the taught modules that you will have done that will have had various assessments. So how a research project's arranged. So this is done a bit of combination of help from the program leads alongside students being proactive and identifying the areas they want to research. So before you join the program, you can already start looking at our departmental websites and try to identify labs and, and research themes that you might be interested in doing that relate to the theme of biomedical sciences. So you can look at our websites, you can maybe start brainstorming, but you don't need to make any sort of selection or anything until after you've joined the program. As soon as you join the program, the first week is sort of prioritizing the selection and confirmation of the module choices. But as soon as you've done that and you've started attending your modules, you can now be arranging your project, your research project. And that will be done in discussion with one of the program tutors. So we'll sit down and have a one-to-one discussion with you about your interests and the kind of projects you might be interested in. And then the student, as a student, you'll write to various labs or supervisors that you're interested in. And so that's one way that we help students find a project. But the other way is that we provide a booklet of project submissions from our department. So over the summer, we advertise the opportunity to supervise a student on MSc Biomedical Sciences. And we get project submissions from across the department. And we basically populate a project booklet of all these sort of pre-approved projects. And that is presented to students when they join the program, usually in the first week of the program, for them to have a look through and decide if any of these projects are suitable or interesting. And I would say roughly half of the students on our program will take one of these pre-approved projects. But there is still the requirement to contact the potential supervisor yourself, to speak to them, to meet with them, perhaps to meet some of the lab members, and decide if this is the project that you would like to take. And likewise, the supervisor will assess, is this student suitable for this project. Yeah, the project booklet is not the only way. Students are encouraged to look beyond that, to look at other departments across UCL if that suits their interests more. And so we do have maybe at least a third of the students doing their projects outside of the Division of Biosciences. And I'll mention in a little bit where some of those students end up. So yeah, it's the student who will initiate the contact and get the conversation going about the project. And then once the project is agreed, the program tutors need to be informed, and then you're ready to start your project in January. So the majority of students on our program will have their project arranged by the middle of November, and then they'll start going into their project in January on a part-time basis. So in terms of projects, where do our students go to do their projects? Well, it's all across UCL. So we're in the Division of Biosciences, which is part of the Faculty of Life Sciences. And within the Division of Biosciences, we have 5 research departments. We've got cell and developmental biology, genetics, evolution and environment, neuroscience, physiology and pharmacology, and structural and molecular biology. And I can see also that Ian has helpfully posted in the chat a link to our research departments. And then we also have the Laboratory for Molecular Cell Biology, that's the LMCB. Within the faculty, we also have the UCL School of Pharmacy, and we have some students doing some projects over there. We have the Sainsbury Wellcome Centre, the Great Ormond Street Institute for Child Health, and Queen Square Institute of Neurology. Aside from this, there are also research institutes that are associated with UCL, where students and in principle do their project. That includes the Francis Crick Institute as well. So yeah, a wide sort of variety of departments and research institutes where students can do their research project. And this is sort of, if you've not been to London, this is where we're located. We're in the Bloomsbury campus, and the majority of our students will do their projects in the Bloomsbury campus or within the vicinity. We're across the road from University College Hospital. We're also close to the British Museum, so we're in sort of the central west area of London. Only about a 15-minute walk from the theatre district, from the river, South Bank Centre. And then Great Ormond Street Hospital is also about a 15-minute walk away. That's where you'll find the Institute of Child Health. So it's a really fantastic area of London to be in. Also close to lots of open space. So we're not too far from Regent's Park, for example. That's just along the road from the campus. And yes, a great area to be a student in London, I think, and also very well connected as well. So research projects, here's a list of some recent project titles that students have had. So you can see the sort of variety of topics and techniques that students are using. One working on mechanosensory pathways in macrophages, so that's in cells in the immune system, understand how they're sort of regulated. Someone who was looking at human milk oligosaccharides, so this was to do with studying the breast milk composition, thing that was done over at the Institute of Child Health. We have someone who's been looking at artificial arteries that could be used as a model for drug and cell therapy development. We have people identifying genes affecting risk of mental illness. So, as well as sort of lab-based projects, students do also have the opportunity to undertake computational-based research as well. And then this was also one that was studying a signaling pathway in neuronal differentiation. They were using fruit flies as a model organism to do that. So a range of different sort of models and systems, and also a range of techniques from microscopy to high throughput screening to computational analysis. These are all things that can be related to biomedical sciences. And these projects might have sort of an impact on human health and disease that's maybe not immediate, but maybe contributes to the knowledge that can then lead to improvements in human health and disease. Okay, so how are the research projects assessed? So the research project forms part of a module called the MSc Biomedical Sciences Research Project. And that's half of the total degree mark, and that's 90 credits. And then that 90 credits is broken down into three assessed components. The first of which is the research proposal, and that's a 1,000-word sort of document, is due in April. So that's after students have done their second term and they've sort of done their project work part-time. And the aim of that term two project work is really to get trained and familiarized in the lab techniques and to think about what you'll be doing over the summer and write sort of a plan of that. Then the main dissertation, which needs to be less than 10,000 words, that is due in the middle of August, and that will be a detailed write-up of sort of all the project work, the results and discussion, conclusions, and then an introduction for background as well. And then 20% of the module grade will also be an oral presentation of 10 minutes that takes place on a date that's set within the first half of September, usually. So that's an in-person presentation that is assessed by some tutors. And then we also sort of invite other students to attend those talks as well. So that completes the module, the project module assessment. And then what happens to our graduates after that? Well, we have a sort of variety of different destinations. In the last survey that we have data for, which I think was from 2022, approximately 17% of our students were going on to PhD study. So So that was within sort of 15 months of graduation. You may also have students who go into PhD after that as well. Let's say approximately 20%, one in five students will be doing a PhD, and then the rest are in 72% will be in employment. Um, they can be in a variety of different roles, so scientists, research and development, technicians, writer, IT analysts, engineering. And then we've had students who go on to be employed by the university, so stay at UCL, GlaxoSmithKline, and then hospitals, AI technology, pharmaceutical companies, and diagnostics and vaccines. So yeah, you can see that it's really tailored towards the biomedical sort of industry and also PhD study. So I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say about our program. Like I said, just in a few moments, I'll be happy to take questions. I'll go through the chat and just make sure I haven't missed any. Um, but I also wanted to highlight a few other programs which might be of interest. So I've talked about our program being a split between research and teaching, but our division does also offer this MRes Biosciences, which is a more research focused degree where you'll do a much longer research project, closer to sort of 10 months worth of research project and fewer taught modules. So if you really know that you want to do a PhD after your master's, that might be one to consider. Then we have MSc Genetics of Human Disease. So if you have a real interest in genetics, and also understanding maybe some of the computational aspects of genetics alongside sort of laboratory-based research, that's a very well-established program that gives you a lot of training in those areas. MSc Neurosciences are one of our largest master's programs, and that offers very bespoke modules in neuroscience training. So the majority of students will be taking the same modules throughout the program. So if you're particularly interested in neurosciences, that would be a great program to do. And then we have also this MRes in computational cell biophysics. That's an interdisciplinary degree, sort of working at the interface between cell biology and computational biology. It's an MRes, so it's also more research focused, and it involves having two supervisors, one who is more computational and one who is more sort of lab based. So you get a bit of a mix of both. And I think there may be some opportunities to find out more about these programs. And then also, if you have the opportunity, so if you are sort of nearby or able to visit us, we do have an in-person open evening that's coming up on Wednesday, the 10th of June, 2026. That's from 5 to 8 p.m. And I believe the registration will open soon, or it may have opened. And I see that Ian's also posted a link to find out more about that event. So if you'd like to come and meet with us in person, see the campus, speak to the program leads, you're very welcome to come along to that. So yeah, thank you very much for your time today. That concludes the presentation, and I'll move on to questions. But also, if you have any questions after this event or any other time, you're welcome to contact me by email a.agrotis@ucl.ac.uk. Okay, so thanks very much. And I believe we have a few more people who've joined as well. So you can take some questions now. You are welcome to post questions in the chat, and I will answer them as they come through. You're welcome to talk on camera or talk by a microphone, but do obviously note that this is being recorded for potentially uploading onto YouTube. So okay, so a message here. Thank you for the presentation. I'm wondering what you advise someone who is considering doing a PhD eventually. Would the MRes be a better qualification than the MSc? Also, is the application process the same for both? Or would you need to contract a supervisor beforehand for MRes? Okay, so I think I can answer this. So I would say the MRes is probably tailored more if you're certain that you would like to do a PhD. However, the MSc certainly doesn't rule out the possibility of doing an MSc, of doing a PhD. So I think the MSc is potentially better if you want to keep your options open, um, and maybe build some more background knowledge and experience along the way. You still do get a substantial research project. It's just not quite as large as the MRes. So it's really a decision that's kind of up to you. The application process is not quite the same. So you need to do a separate application for the MRes if you wanted to apply for that. I think the MRes application will ask you to identify which specialism you would like to be considered for because they have 10 different specialisms. So you'd have to obviously consider which of those you'd like to focus on, and sort of write a justification on why you're interested, maybe the kind of projects you'd like to do based around that. Um, and then in terms of contacting a supervisor, it's not required to contact a supervisor beforehand. And I believe that is the case for most of our programs, that you're not expected to have identified a supervisor until you join the program, and then you'll get instructions on how to identify the supervisor. That being said, there's no harm in at least looking and perhaps discussing on your application form the types of projects you might be interested in, because that can obviously help the admissions tutors see that you're suitable and that you've maybe done some background reading. So that would be my advice, and I hope that answers the question. Um, Moving on to the next question. Um, what is usually the cohort size for the program and how many applications you usually receive? So that's the acceptance rate. Um, so the cohort size is roughly sort of 15 to 20 students currently. We do receive a large number of applications, currently around 200 applications a year. I can't really speak for the acceptance rate. I don't have the most up-to-date data on that. But it's reasonably competitive program. We do unfortunately have to decline people who are, you know, who are performing well because there is a bit of competition. We do have to distinguish on the basis of the sort of higher ranking applications. Um, but we do also consider applications throughout the year as well. So whether you want to apply, bearing that in mind, that's obviously up to you. I believe that we can consider applications throughout the admissions cycle, because we do fill spots, but then also we do have spots that are taken that then become available. So I hope that answers the question. Okay, we have a question asking whether applicants are encouraged to mention specific research areas, labs in their personal statement. Okay, so for that, I think it can be helpful. We, as admissions tutors, we want to know that you understand the program, and that you have thought about the themes of the program, whether that's suitable for you. So to show that you've done some looking beyond the prospectus can certainly be helpful. Um, you can mention labs, but there's no expectation that you should have contacted them in any way. But to have named some labs that you might be interested in can sort of help your application. Also, whether a recording of this session will be made available, I believe that is the case. I believe the intention is to upload a recording to the internet for this session. And whether a recording of a biosciences MRes session can also be shared. But we can ask about that on your behalf.
It will be, Alex.
Great. Thank you, Ian. Okay, so another question. Um, so trying to understand which course would be a better fit for me. I'm particularly interested in cell biology and would like to go more focused. How specialized does the MSc become in my case, specifically for cell biology, compared with the MRes biosciences pathway, and uh, inclined more towards an industry job rather than a PhD. So on our MSc, we do have a variety of advanced cell biology modules that are available and tissue biology. So I think the MSc, if you wanted to get advanced training in cell biology, the MSc in biomedical sciences would be a really good degree for that. For the MRes biosciences pathway, you would only be able to take one optional module of 15 credits. It relates to your stream. So you could potentially take one of the advanced cell biology modules, but that would be the maximum number of content modules you'd be able to take with that program. So you would have less in the way of sort of traditional lectures and seminars, um, and you'd be more focused on the research project. But with a more in-depth research project, perhaps you could use that as an opportunity to get more specialized in a particular technique or a particular model that's used for cell biology. So it really depends on what you're looking for. But I would say if you wanted more the background knowledge in cell biology, probably the MSc, the MRes, perhaps more geared towards the practical and the research sort of side of that. After submitting the application, how long does it usually take to receive a decision? That can vary quite a bit. So for very high quality applications, we try to send a decision um, as quickly as possible. But the minimum time will usually be approximately 3 weeks, because that's the time taken to process the application to perform all the checks. Um, for the applications that are more sort of in the sort of um, category where we think they're good, but it's not an immediate yes. Those may be held for a longer period of time while we consider how much space we have on the program, and sort of rank those applications. So it can unfortunately take a bit longer for those applications. It's hard to give a specific time frame. But if you are concerned about the status of your application, you can always get in touch with our postgraduate admissions email address, and we can provide you an update. And then a question, do we give more priority to grades, past experience in research, or the overall writing of the statement of purpose? It's a balance. So, I mean, our requirements, our grade requirements are probably the one we look at first. Um, if your application doesn't quite meet those grade requirements, then we would look at the experience, your past experience, and your personal statement in more detail to see whether we think you have compensated for the grades, um, to have built up some experience to show that you're suitable for the program. So obviously all of those need to be good to sort of get a certain offer. But we also recognize that people's sort of academic backgrounds will be different, and people have had different journeys to get to where they are. And some people may have considered MSc a bit later in their career after having picked up some experience. So yeah, it's hard to give a sort of um, blanket sort of statement on that, but that's general my thinking. Another question, is the program only available for September entry, or is there also a January intake? This is only for September entry, so we have one round of entry in September. So the current applications are for entry in September 2026. And those applications will close um, during the summer. Different deadlines depending on whether you need a visa or not. So I think it's later if you don't require a visa. It's a bit earlier if you do require a visa. Do we offer conditional offers? Yes. Yeah, our offers will either be unconditional if you already meet all of the requirements and you've been awarded your undergraduate degree, or it'll be conditional if your undergraduate degree is in progress. Then it will be based on uh, achieving usually a minimum of 2-1 or equivalent. And yeah, so Fatima's helpfully shared the admissions inquiries email address. That's biosciences underscore PGT underscore admissions at ucl.ac.uk. And then also the link to the prospectus where you can find the application deadlines. Okay, so give it a couple more minutes. Anyone to type any more questions if they have them. And then, so give you a couple more minutes for that. And then we'll close the session if there are no more questions. Yeah, thank you very much for attending as well.